Hey guys, it's Diana again. I'm in the Artsy Rose chat and create today. I got a little Mod Podge of stuff I'm doing. I haven't done any of the new stuff. I make a schedule for the whole year, mostly for the other group, but I kind of let it play over into this group. So I have, make sure I'm on here, I'm checking. Sometimes I have to redo it. I still have that book, and I actually have a series of 3 things out of one couple paragraphs in the book, Big Magic. There I am. And I'm going to read them to you. One this week, the following Saturday, and the Saturday after. And they're all about creativity. So, and I have another book coming, and it's running late. I don't think it's going to be here till the 24th or 25th. And I'll be doing little things out of that, just trying to get you inspired. What else? I got a couple rocks left here. And my new Pasco pens are actually off-brand. They're pretty good. So I'm going to mess around with them. And then, it's almost pumpkin season. So I have a small piece of canvas. And I'm going to do, I think, a blue pumpkin and maybe some sunflowers. I think sunflowers might be my theme for August. And, of course, pumpkins would be September and October. So I thought we'd play around with maybe a blue pumpkin today. Because I've been doing, I'm getting ready with some fall stuff. I'm getting ready to do some big paints. I haven't done them yet. I just ordered a bunch of canvases. I got to do classes in the fall. Which I got 2 booked already. So anyways, let me do this reading first. Let me put this up there. Hope you guys have all had a great week. The weather's been good. Well, in some places, too hot. It's going to be hot here all weekend. I haven't been to the pool the last couple of days, but I had a lot of paperwork and stuff to do. A lot of stuff going on here. So, my house got hit by a car. So the insurance company is finally settled. I'm getting the last check next week sometime. And they're putting it up for sale this week. I'm not going to get that much for it, but I got insurance money, so I'm looking for a house now. So a lot of stuff going on with that. It's not more complicated than you think. I think nothing's cut and dry with the insurance companies, but it's a done deal. So I was there yesterday, most of the afternoon. My classes are so filthy. When I'm painting, I know what you guys, when you paint, do your class end up like you've got marks all over me. I don't know how you did it. I think I got red paint in here from the other day, and I just can't seem to get it off. What works, is I got rubbing alcohol here. I'll do that. That seems to work on my glasses. Yeah, hey, Jerry girl. So, yeah, I can see again. So this is a book, Big Magic, from Melissa Gilbert, and she's got many other books out. You've probably heard of Eat, Pray, Love. But this is from one of the last chapters in the book, and it's about passion vs. curiosity. So he or she is a famous writer. Wrote a lot of books and stuff, and she's got she's got a new one out now. And she talks about being creative, because even writers, like my daughter is a writer and poet, and writes big grants and stuff for NYU. So she had a pretty serious job, but she also is a writer. And her husband was an actor, and now he works at Wall Street. But he does a lot of photography stuff. He took that later, so they're both very creative. And I feel their daughter's going to be the same way. All 3 of my daughters are very creative. Wonder where to get that from. But some of the stuff I'm going to read to you sounds a little crazy, but it's really kind of true. And if you've been painting for a while, you're probably going to latch onto this, understand what I'm talking about. And I think passion and curiosity kind of go together because, well, not so much passion, but art and curiosity, because you got to be a little bit curious if you want to try things. You can't be just, cut and dry. You got to be a little curious. So let me just read what she has to say. May I also urge you to forget about passion. Perhaps you are surprised to hear that from me, but I am somewhat against passion. Or at least I am against the preaching of passion. I don't believe in telling people all you need to do is follow your passion and everything will be fine. I think this can be unhelpful and even a cruel suggestion at times. First of all, it can be unnecessary. It can be an unnecessary piece of advice, because if someone has a clear passion, odds are they're already following it and they don't need anyone to tell them to pursue it. That's kind of a definition of passion. After all, an interest that you chase obsessively almost becomes, it almost is because you have no choice. That's in parentheses. But a lot of people don't know exactly what their passion is, or they have multiple passions. I have that. Or they may be going through a midlife change of passion, all of which can leave them feeling confused and blocked and insecure. If you don't have a clear passion and somebody blithely tells you to go follow your passion, I think you have the right to give that person the middle finger. I love her. Because that's like somebody telling you that all you need in order to lose weight is to be thin. Or all you need is in order to have a great sex life is to be multi-orgasmic. That doesn't help. I'm generally a pretty passionate person myself, but not every single day. Sometimes I have no idea where my passion has gone off to. I've always felt actively inspired, nor do I always... Yeah, I got a timer on. Hey, Jerry. I don't always feel actively inspired, nor do I always feel certain what to do next. But I don't sit around waiting for passion. That's how I feel about inspiration. I don't sit around waiting for passion to strike me. I keep working steadily, because I believe it is our privilege as humans to keep making things for as long as we can, or as long as we live, and because I enjoy making things. Most of all, I keep working because I trust that creativity is always trying to find me, even when I have lost sight of it. So how do you find the inspiration to work when your passion has flagged? This is where curiosity comes in. I'll read the rest of it to you next week, and then it goes into devotion and inquisitiveness and the scavenger hunt. So it's pretty obvious she feels. I kind of feel the same way, that I tell you all the time that you can't depend on inspiration, but you can't say it isn't there. You might not feel it is there, but it might be there. And you can't always say it's a passion, because you just feel like you should be doing something. As human people, we always feel like we should be doing the dishes or something, But inspiration, sometimes you got to make it. You got to sit down in the chair, get a paintbrush, do a lousy job, and just do it. And it'll find you. Is what she's saying. It'll find you. It'll come. So anyways, next week we'll read the second chapter of this. I'll put that down. Now, we did a series about color in another book, which it was expanded. There was more I wanted to do with that in my other group, from another book I have from Betty, not Betty White, but the writer of that book. And that book is in storage. I have 2 other books I want to read to you guys, and those are in storage. I wasn't thinking. So I got a new one coming, and that's about inspiration and art. I read all that stuff, so it'll be very interesting. But you got to get this big magic if you get a chance. It'll make you feel better about a lot of things, not just art, because she's a writer and she understands creativity. But what I was going to tell you is, my kids, even though they might do different types of art, because, acting and all that is, and writing, it's still art, because you're creative. And you got to have a little bit of a curious mind to do that. So, anyway, so I put this down. I got 2 rocks. I have 2 rocks and a bunch of Posco pens. I'll put this away. So, I'm going to just paint these 2. I'm going to try no paint. I did one in white and one in dark blue. Isn't that interesting? Hey, Chet. So she's a very interesting writer. But, it's nice to hear from people that are creative. I think being creative, I think the more creative you are, the less sometimes when people say to you sounds really stupid, and the more it sounds stupid to you, because they try to be creative, I think most people can paint or learn creative stuff, but I think there's probably about half of us that have been there a long time and know there's certain things you just can't do that doesn't make any sense to you, All right, so here's here's all them. These are an off-brand of Posco pens. Posco pens, I love them. And Posca, or Posco, however you want to say it. Posca, I never get it right. It's Posca. And I worry about saying name brands, because there was a thing with the Facebook about saying, there's a group today about saying name brands, you have to be careful. But I don't think anybody would sue an artist that owned a Posco company. They'd be out of business. But these ones are called Overseas. But I got a whole set of like 12 under $6. So I'm thinking they'll probably suck. Well, you know, they aren't bad. So sometimes an off-brand is okay. Now, how long they're going to last, I don't know, because those Posca pens last forever. You got to make sure that little ball, I give it 25 shakes, always. And then you got to, like, 10 down, pat until you see some color come out. But I painted one, like, in a white. I tried it yesterday, so it does work. But I guess a lot, I joined a rock group. Everybody's fascinated with rock painting. And I think the reason is it's cheap. And you can find rocks everywhere as long as you don't go crazy. You really shouldn't be taking them from site to site. It's really not good. But you can share them. But I always tell people to be careful what you're using on them. And these are water-based because you do got to worry about wildlife getting on this. Some people were gluing things to them. They were gluing small rocks and stuff. Maybe children would bite on them and swallow it. So just be aware that paint is enough, and you can use a sealer if you wish. But probably if you're taking them to a park, you're doing friendship rocks, or you're leaving and pick them up. My sister's a runner. She finds them all once in a while. I would advise not using anything. Now, if you're going to keep them in your yard, really as a piece of art, or you're going to sell them, because people do sell these rocks. They have big rocks in rabbits and houses and all kinds of stuff out of them. I would suggest you seal them, but those are art, and I'm hoping they wouldn't be left out in the wild. So just to make you aware that if you're going to be putting these on trails and stuff, just to be careful what you're using on them. Don't be using a lot of glue or glitter or anything. But if you're going to be for personal use, and that's another thing. If you're going to keep them inside, you don't have to worry about sealing, but if you're going to use them outside, then you'd probably have to use some kind of sealer. I always just use a little bit of it actually holds up outside pretty good. Liquitex acrylic medium, but if you're going to use this and keep them outside, say next to a pond or something, and I put them in my pot, something small going to a pot, I just use that. But if I'm going to put it out into the garden, then I would use some kind of polyurethane, poly-based paint stuff. But like I said, same thing, be aware that wherever you put it, you could be hurting small wildlife, birds and stuff. Anyway, so enough of that. I didn't think that was an issue, but then I had read this little article on it, and evidently it is. So, all right, so I'm going to kind of do my Mona Aldesco. We did this the other night in the membership. It came out pretty good. Hers is way better, but that was her month, and we were kind of playing with it. But I think I'm going to do the top of that. I'm going to make some mountains. This is so much more control with these, I don't know how they're going to hold up outside, so that should be interesting. And I'm just going to draw instead of paint. I see a lot of people are using these. Like I told you, I joined that rock group. I'm losing my voice. I joined that rock group, and a lot of them are using this. I mean, they use the paint too, I put a little bigger. Probably should have done the sun first, but I don't know. I just wanted to use this blue marker, I guess. But the name of it's Overseas, and I don't know what they are. It says on the box, it said glass, wood, everything, which the Posco pens do too. Now, I tried this on my glass, I just cleaned it, my glass water cup here, and it looked great, but it washed right off. So I'm assuming it's like when you do the glass paint, you probably got to bake it. So I will try that next with this cheap stuff and my Posco pen. So, but I don't get that. I have done wine glass parties, and I usually just use they have paint for glass. Then I have them go home, and I tell them how to bake it. Okay, so let's use a purple underneath this. I did a Starry Night. And I've done, they're over there. The Starry Night's in storage, actually. I did like a ocean scene, and I got a hobbit door. You can get pretty creative. I've seen people do animals, faces. I've seen portraiture, beautiful portraiture. Hold on. It's on again. Hey, Dave. My Doctor Who guy. My kids love Doctor Who. I didn't really get into a lot of things. I was busy leading my life. And my kids went to college. I never had the opportunity to go to college. So my daughter, who was into literature, the oral rights, she started bringing stuff home from all kinds of famous writers. And after that, I wish I had went to college and learned all that stuff. That was money well spent, no matter what people think. And, well, my kids are geeks. So nothing against being a geek. Turns out I'm a geek. And I started, watching all the things they watched. I got into Game of Thrones and not so much Harry Potter, but I loved a lot of stuff like that. So, and her boyfriend, who they're married now, was really super into Doctor Who, which I had heard of but never really followed too much. So next thing you know, I'm watching Doctor Who. And they used to live down here, so I watched it more than I do now. It's been a while. I think the last time I watched it, they had a woman Doctor Who, which was like a big thing, So that's how long it's been. I bought bits and pieces. But my granddaughter, every year I have to get her something, and he likes anything with TARDIS or whatever that thing is. So yeah, it's a big thing. I enjoy watching it though, so. But I guess, I don't know what station it is, but Doctor Who has a marathon every year, Christmas Eve, I want to say. And they all get together and they watch it. So, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm just kind of making a little bit of a sunset here. Okay, my dad's up. I was worried about my father. I hadn't heard. I heard him. He went to bed late last night. He's 86. And I was just about ready to call my sister and say, when should I go up there and try to wake him up? He's at that age where they don't wake up. He's in really good health. Well, he's got a lot of heart problems, but he's 86. You're going to have something wrong with you. His mind is good, though. He's pretty active. He doesn't move too fast. Do this in green. I wanted like a blue-green. Let's put some blue over it. You see, I'm just doing, these are working really well, guys. Now, you'll get more of an even look if you get some nice flat rocks. But I'm going to tell you right now, don't go on Amazon. I tried to order a small bag. They were $22. I don't know when that started, because I had bought them years ago and they were cheap. But what a lot of the art people, the rock people are doing is they are going to, like Home Depot. And they go back where you buy the, the bags of rock for landscaping, and sometimes I'll buy the broken bags to save a little money, and they're splitting them. Well, I don't know anybody that can split a bag that big. But I think if you just want to do it for fun, that would be a good thing. But you can pick up a whole bag for like under $6. $22. And the other one was $26. Now, after I seen that, I didn't even bother to look anymore. I was like, that's just ridiculous. So I got a little pink in there. I got a little orange going on. So it's kind of cute little sunset. He's all right. Guess who I look just like my daddy? Just like him. They say the oldest child looks just like their father. They tell me I act like him, but I don't believe it. Yeah. Okay. Fill that in. So now we get this nice little rock painting going on here. Now I got like some small detailing pens. This is a 0.1, and you could make a little birds. could make. I was showing my one friend, art friend, how to make people. And basically it's an upside down carrot. They're walking on the beach. You kind of put a little head on it. You could put a little thing on it and maybe make a dog. And they're walking down the beach. You can maybe make two people. Same thing, upside down carrot. You can see that upside down carrot. Give it a little head. Next thing you know, you get two walkers. You want a shadow, just put a line like that. And they're walking down the beach, looking at the sun. You put a definition on this right here. Beach next to the mountains, I guess. Or they're on a trail, maybe. They're on a trail. How about a trail? So now you get this neat little thing. Now, I haven't sealed these. Let me just... I don't think they're quite dry. I think they're close. Let me dry them. I can't get my bow dry all the way over here, so I got it right here. I'm just going to dry it like 2 seconds, guys. Then I'm going to put a little sealer on it. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty dry. They dry fast. The paint sometimes takes a while. I use acrylic paint usually. So let's just take a little bit of this. And let's just see what happens here. A little experiment. This is usually how I do it. You can use a little sponge or a brush, but I just use my finger. Oh. Hey, it's kind of staying where I put it. Look at that. Well, I think these are going to work out pretty good. See how it gives a nice little shine? I'm like a manicurist's nightmare. So that came out pretty cool, right? You think? How does that look? Oh, this way. Forgot I get the camera turned around. Came out pretty cool, right? I think so. Yeah, so you can have fun with those pens. Any water-based pen, you can go over the top of this stuff too, will work. Doesn't necessarily have to be Pasco. But sometimes the knockoff brands aren't bad. All right, so now I dyed this one like a dark blue. And I'm not sure what to do on it, guys. What do you guys think I ought to paint this one? I don't know. Who's on here today? You love Game? Oh, I love Game of Thrones. I haven't seen the last one. I read all the books. They're very long. Did I say it wrong, chat? My speech is as bad as I writing. I write stuff out. BBC, yeah, BBC was the one. They had the marathon. Someone wrote that I read atrociously. I write like I talk, and I had speech therapy when I was a kid, and I believe I'm ADD because I didn't read till I was in 5th grade, which is very common because my one that's got like all kinds of degrees now. A lot of times it means you're kind of intelligent, which I didn't know that either. And I didn't read till I was later, and I went, like in 2 years, I went from like 2nd grade level to college level. So if I say stuff wrong or funny, I know that's something, I reverse things and I say things wrong. So I explained it to these 2 women that were picking on me on some site I was on. I says, I know I need a copy, but I can't afford it. And a lot of people have a virtual assistant to help them do all the, and I don't like to type, and I do it, and I have this massive big fingers. So sometimes if I say or write things funny, it's just because it's the way I am. So, and sometimes I have to go back and correct myself, but then, I'm not one to correct everything in an article or a paragraph, I go back a lot, believe me, and do it. So sometimes I won't say nothing simply because I don't know how to type it out to make sense, or that it's just so... Thanks, Dad. What is this stuff? Ooh, guys. We're going to do an unboxing. You guys know what a jelly press is? Well, I bought one last year. I did some stuff on it. For multimedia. It's printmaking. And I have this roller. It's called a brayer. Well, I packed all my stuff. I got the jelly press and no brayer. I got my new brayer. So now I'm going to have 2 brayers. So that's going to be another fun little class we're going to do. And I got my quash. You guys ever heard gouache? It's spelled Gouche. I always keep going gouache, but it's actually gouache. So it's a type of watercolor, where watercolor is translucent, gouache is opaque, more like acrylic paint, but it's not. So that's another whole class, which we will get into at some point. This is a name brand. It was back order. They didn't have many left. It was another Amazon Prime sale. I wait till Amazon has Amazon Prime. I mean, I pay for it, but I take off my taxes. It has a good sale. I do a lot of shipping, like I ship kits out and stuff. So to me, it's worth it. But when they have stuff like that, it's really worth it. I get a good deal. It's only 2 days a year, though. I didn't order much, but enough. I ordered something for all my steady people in my membership. So I'm gonna just make these little kind of waves here. So it looks like an ocean. This would look pretty cool. Shellacked up, nice and shiny. You could like put some different colors in there. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. Some different colors up in here. Yeah, I talk funny too. I know I do. Or sometimes it just doesn't come out. I have to think about it. It's there, but it's not coming out right. It's weird stuff. I know my daughter is 40, my oldest one's 46, and she just got diagnosed last year. I don't think mine's AD&D. I think it's some kind of other thing. My youngest daughter does have learning disabilities. And they knew, I made too big now. So they knew she had it, and they said she would never get this. She would never learn another language, and she would never go to college. She speaks French, and she's been to 4 colleges. My kids are professional students. So why is that? Because it turns out, I've read stuff, and I had friends that had kids with it, that there's still a lot they just don't know. There's other stuff besides dyslexia. I mean, and then one of my grandchildren, my granddaughter, is autistic. So not bad. But they don't test girls, for one thing, just boys. A lot of those kids that were supposed to be bad, turns out they weren't bad. They had problems, learning problems and stuff. So, interesting, right? And I'm thinking my dad has it too. He had a 3rd grade education, but that man can fix anything. He has all the schematics memorized. I would take math and I said, Mom, if Dad can't, he's never been able to go to school. I said, she goes, he just memorizes everything, which is funny because I do the same thing. So, all right, so there you go. I got myself a little landscape there. And then you can do the same thing. So interesting, right? I think what happens with a lot of people, I mean, I don't know that much about it yet because I've never been tested, but I know with my kids and their problems that I think in nature especially, you will figure out a way to figure something out. I mean, poor people, see all these little African people way out there, and okay, my one pen doesn't want to work yet. They figure it out. They just figure it out, you know. Well, I kind of had to change this, turn that into a mountain because I screwed it up. Oh, that kind of looks cool. That looks kind of cool. I made like a little mountain on it. Come up over the mountain. It was just too wet now to shellac. This one came out pretty good. So now it is fall coming up. So I've been playing with some paintings, which I don't want to show you because it'll be my fall collection. Everybody will be copying. So I'm just going to stencil something out here. And I can't wait to play with my jelly press. This was cheaper than the first one I got. The first jelly press, I took a multimedia class with my artist. She's a very good teacher, and she's teaching me to teach. That sounds stupid, but she also does a class on multimedia, which I love. I'm a multimedia artist, too. I like all kinds of art, but I love multimedia too. And she was doing this class. Well, I ordered the jelly press. Do you know it was like months? It wouldn't come in. And I couldn't get a square one, so I ended up with a round one, which was fine. But they had to return my money. So, because all that stuff's coming from China, you know, there's still some boating issues and, I don't know, shipping issues, and I don't know what's going on over there. So anyways, I never ended up, I had the brayer a week, and then I had this thing for months. So finally I got one, and I do love it. But I never got back into using it for different printmaking. So here is the, it's just a small, cheap canvas. And usually when I am trying different things, you know I use my multimedia book, which I have a couple old ones that are quite full now. I'm going to have to archive them or something. This one's gotten quite full. You know, I do my, we did this in a class when we did Frida Kahlo. I did the colors of her skin and stuff. And I made a template, and this one goes into my other book. They actually can be replaced. And then I use my book for notes, templates that I make. You know, like I did that hat, things that I copy, I put on here, pictures that I see, and I sketch them in to the book. So the book, see, this is from a picture. You should get your pictures from something that usually Google is a no name right here, and then I put my picture in there. So my book is used for lots of different things. This was downloaded up. I'm affiliated with a site. This was a class. So your book gets full. At least your book should be getting full. Now, interesting little fact. I started out with this other artist who's actually teaching artists to teach now and run a business. And when she started out, she was just doing like what I'm doing. A lot better than I am. She's been doing it quite a while, about 10 years. I've been doing this about 3 online. And someone offered, they buy her books. Good, Bad, and the Ugly. They buy them from her. So don't ever laugh about using these books. Someday they might be worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. I don't know. But I'm just saying, these books are good. You got to have one, you know. And that way when you get this isn't really a good piece of canvas. That way when you get the good piece of canvas out, you get an idea what you're going to do. You don't waste your canvas. And even then, same thing, if it doesn't work out, you can still paint over it. Don't be afraid to paint over something. If it's that bad, paint over it. Make your life good. Erase it from your mind. Breathe. You know, you can get rid of it. It's not the end of the world. At some point, you'll end up with too many, and you'll be begging people to take them. Or you'll have a whole pile in the corner. Most artists do, even the really good ones, of really just paintings that just did not work out. And they make good palette knife paintings. I'm a palette knife artist, and I love palette knife and over all that stuff. It just like getting my anger out in that painting. So anyway, so I'm looking to do some pumpkins. Let me get a pencil. We're gonna play a little bit today. I've been in the mood for, I've been thinking either blue pumpkins or cranberry colored pumpkins. What do you think of that? I did a couple blue ones already. I'm not gonna show them to you. But I just want to do a big, last year my thing was white pumpkins. So if you've seen, I did a big white one. And then I did like all different colored foliage around it. Came out really good. And I'm a palette knife this a little bit. And I palette knifed over the top of the pumpkin. It came out really cool. Well, the year before, or no, I think earlier that year, I had done a stack of 3 white ones and did the same thing in between. And they're both very popular. And I'll probably repeat those as a class. The actual paintings, I don't know where they are because, you know, the whole car through the house story wasn't my fault, but it's caused a few problems with this. So I just have to redo some of the paintings. And then, luckily, I photograph everything because you never know when I can use it. I either put it on my YouTube which I haven't messed with in a while, or I'll put it on my Pinterest, or I'll put it up to sell, or I'll use it for a class. So I take pictures of everything. When I talk to the adjuster that's handling my case, you know, sit on the case about my house, getting insurance money, and, you know, there was things in the basement. There was my really old paintings I did 40 years ago. Guess where they were? So I'm hoping whoever buys this house, whoever goes down in that hole, goes down in there and gets some of those paintings out for me, because that's where they were. But to make a long story short, when he went through the window, a lot of those were the ones I do for classes. If I hadn't took pictures of those, I would have known possibly what got hit and what I could claim. And I'd say there was a good 40 paintings there. I mean, I've been painting a long time. But I'd say most of them were for these classes, you know. So I'm just kind of sketching in. You don't have to do no definite line yet. I'm just playing with my pencil. I might make this a little bigger. I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can see it. Oh, it looks like you can. All right. It's funny how I get people on the phone up here, and I'll have different people, or like I'll get one comment of yours, and the other two comments are down here, Dave. It's just the weirdest thing. I don't understand this thing here. It's crazy, right? You like the cranberry idea? I kind of do too. There's one that's called raspberry. It's so pretty. Well, I think it would look pretty, like if I did in raspberry and did like some white flowers. But then I got a white background, so I'm thinking, what could I do the background in? Well, the opposite of red is blue, but I don't, or green. Unless I did like a, I don't know, a lime green? I'm not sure. So I'm just sketching out a pumpkin. Now, if anybody decides they really like this, I could make you a template, but, you know, I feel a pumpkin is one of those things that you should be able to sketch. You should be able to learn it. I mean, you'd have to learn to sketch it, some people, but just doing like what I'm doing. But remember, 40 years, and I think I could paint before I could draw. I was always a doodler. Nothing fancy. I didn't have any rules or anybody teach me. I just was a doodler. And I've learned a lot of tricks along the way, but it's also from doing it a lot. And now, lately, since I'm painting 4 days a week, and in between I'm creating paintings, I'm painting probably 6 days a week, if not more. So, and your skill does progress. Now, before I was painting probably not as much, definitely not as much, but I still was getting better, even though there was long periods of time in between. I was, you know, working a lot and trying to get them through college and traveling, going back and forth with them and working 2 jobs and whatever the newest thing was, or taking care of mom, or, you know. So I still progress. So don't think if you have to give it up a while, you might have to tune up. It's like riding a bike. I know it sounds crazy. You might have to tune up a little bit, but you'll remember. And then as you do it more, you do get a little better. And then I talk about leading a creative life. I should write a book, right? It's not just coming in and drawing. It's also about being creative and looking at the clouds and saying which color would I use. You know, looking at a tree, saying could I draw that? Maybe have a little sketchbook. I've used the back of my checkbook for drawing. I use a pencil, piece of paper. Making your pie, like, you know, my sister does little cutouts on the top of her pies. You could, you know, maybe flare up that outfit with a pretty, just different scarf. Some big funky earrings. Just being more creative is a thing. I mean, when you go to work and you dress up, you feel important. Your work is better. Same thing when I did hairdressing. When I went in there, I had this one hat I used to wear. I got in New York. The lady made it for me. And my girlfriend used to call it my attitude hat. I did really great hair when I wore that hat. So it is leading it was a bright pink, green, and yellow hat, and the lady made this big knot in the front. I don't look good in hats, but that hat, she knew what to do. So that hat is long since gone, but it just goes to show that with the right attitude, you know, you can change things. So being creative too, you gotta just, it's more than just knowing how to draw and paint. So you go, you got a pumpkin, right? That's good, just like that Dawn class done. No kidding. All right, so now we're going to try some kind of cranberry-ish red. What do I got? Now, Lizard and Crimson is a traditional, this is a good paint. This is a Quasidone. Lizard and Crimson has a blue base. That's a pretty one. Or alizarin, depending on how you say it, because I'm just like I'm a messed up individual here. All right, so let me see what I got. I need to go through these paints. I got a whole bucket of paints, or a whole bag of paints over here. I just couldn't have them all out because it's like just too much. Kept knocking everything over. I know I have like a pretty violet kind of, I don't know, I think it's called raspberry. Let me see. Raspberry, see, I've almost used it all. I love it. This one's pretty, a deep burgundy. It's kind of pretty too. What should I do? What should I do? So I'm thinking I need to use something for the background. Now on the color chart, any of the reds would be some kind of green, which is why Christmas colors look good together. So this is more like a red violet. So maybe a yellow green for the background. Sometimes that's how I'm making decisions, is I just can't decide. And I get my little color wheel. These things for like $5. You put these in your little bag of stuff. I have a small one too I carry with me. It's metal. You can color it, put in your watercolors box. Like here's a blue. When you add white, you get that. When you add blue to blue, you get blue. If you add blue to green, you get blue, green. It shows you what color. No, if you add yellow to blue, you get green. If you add the red to the blue, you get this color. If you add white to blue, you get that color. So we're gonna go over here, and these are complementary colors, which you would get. The opposite color, they are complementary. They look good together, but when you use it together and you mix them, they make sort of a muddy color, and that you use for shadows. They actually cancel each other out. But that's another whole class guide, so we won't get into that. All right, so now let me get something to put all this on. Where is my stuff? Stop, come on, my stuff is. Oh, I need a. I can say I wasn't totally ready for this class today. Been a long week. Nothing bad, just I got a lot of stuff done, really. Just wasn't what I planned. All right, I gotta get a paper plate or something over here. I'm looking. I had my I had it out in my hand. Didn't want to hear. Oops, I got all my watercolors here. Usually Fridays, I did do some. I go through and I clean my. I use one of these, clean my table off because it gets pretty piled high. And I don't have no place like, you know, in my house I had two sides so I could do different projects on each side. I did one, like I do projects on my easel. Well, I don't have my big easel here. And there's really not a lot of room. And I'm like, this is like my food is here, my bills are here. There's no place to separate anything. You know, all kinds of stuff here. I get my whole life is like on one table. So that will end once I get into a house. And I am looking. All right, so what do we want? I'm gonna say I'm gonna do this burgundy. Do a little burgundy. It's a pretty color. Now in the background, I need some kind of yellowish green. There's this color called Sprout. It's kind of a lime green. It's a little wild. But we could tone that down. How do I tone all my stuff down? Anybody on here remember what I use on just about everything? There it is. Yellow ochre. I want more of an antique look. I don't want it real bright. And yellow ochre in just about every line you can get exists, from watercolors to oil. I've always used it. I started out as an oil artist, and I've always used it, and it works on everything. As long as you don't get carried away, because it can, because it is yellow, it can turn some things green. You know, with the blue, I can't even get this open today. And it can turn, you know, other things. You just want to drop. It just kind of tones it down a tad. I do, even though I do the palette knife, I do kind of a farmhouse look too, so you don't want the colors usually vibrant. I like bright colors, but when I'm doing certain looks, I like it toned down a little bit. I use that. And I'm going to need a little white too, I think. And this should be a good start. And then I'm going to need to do some kind of green. We can make a muted green. Here, I got one right here. I'll probably, this is like a Kelly green. We'll tone that down. And then I got this white. I might end up doing a little dulling some of the colors out with a little black, maybe. We'll see. Everything's coming up on me today. Alright, that'll be just to kind of dilute everything if I need to. Alright, and then I want to use my palette knife, so I'm going to get a small palette knife out too, right here. And I'm going to get a small, it's not the big flat brush, which everybody uses is like a 1 inch. This is like a 1/2 inch. This is actually a Deco Art brush, so if you like Deco Art paints, and you order at Michael's or order online, this is a Deco Art. So nice, they have nice brushes. All right. So I got a burgundy, yellowish green, a green, ochre, and a white. So I'm going to do the dark color first, and then I'm going to kind of I'm just going to follow the body. I'm going to kind of go over it with the palette knife. I want to kind of keep these sections a little separated so I remember where the curve is on this stuff as I'm putting this paint on. I mean, don't make it overcomplicated, but that's what I'm doing. Coming in on a chiseled edge on an angle. That's what that means. When they say chiseled edge, it means instead of flat like a paintbrush, they're coming in on an edge. See, that's where my line is, so I'm kind of just leaving out this little, almost like a highlight right there. And I'm going to come in with a different color there, and then I'm going to palette knife over some, just to give it kind of a rough, rusted look, which is what I've been doing. I started doing that last year, and the ones that I'm doing currently are, there's palette knife over them. Just to make it a little bit different, you know? And I keep it like, I teach basic, simple. I don't get too fancy with the palette knife because there's a lot of techniques that I do that can be very complicated, depending on what you're doing. We just did Mona Lesko, and one of the girls did it, and she did pretty good, but it's not an easy one to do. I mean, I struggled with parts of it myself, and I've been doing it quite a while. So, but you gotta learn, so you gotta try stuff. But I kind of, during the classes, I try to teach basic, and then in my membership, I go a little crazy, a little tougher, but that's how you learn. sometimes I don't think people appreciate when I teach this stuff because I paid for a lot of these classes and I learned a lot of this through trial and error, and that's expensive. So what I teach, I've learned a lot just by doing it, but also from other teachers and artists and over many years, and there's value to that, and I have to tell myself that, you know. You know, sometimes I feel like imposter syndrome or something, if you guys know what that is, but I earned my way to do this. It didn't happen overnight, and I worked at it because I love it, and you could say it's passion. Yeah, but it's definitely a pursued interest. It's something that I love. But, you know, if you see me whipping this right in like it's nobody's business, this has been practiced and pursued and, you know, most of my life. I mean, I started painting oil paintings when I was, down in South Carolina. It's a long story. My boss got me into it because I kept painting all over the art of the appointment book. I'm a doodler. Then she bought me pastels, and I doodled that all over the shop, and then she finally got me into classes. But really, even before that, I was like 13. And, the teacher's name, I think his name was Mr. Bloom, and he was 7th grade or 8th grade, 7th grade. And he had done this series on Andy Warhol, which is the first time I ever really heard of any artists. And I was a poor kid. It was all about making money. When I got in high school, I just wanted to work. And he had kind of talked me into doing different things. But I came in, and he had took this thing. I had made this like loaf of bread, which, you know, is typical Warhol. He was famous for the soup can. And he put it on the front bulletin board. Guys, 13, I could have died. I mean, if I walked in school and I seen that, I could have died right there, and that just expired right there. I would have been a happy girl. I was so incredibly shy. You never know it now, but then I'm, you know, over here, and there's nobody here. But oh my God. So the talent's always been there, but then I believe a lot of people have talent and they can learn to paint stuff, and I've proven that over different ways, and so has other people that I teach and that I talk about, Betty Edwards and right brain, left brain, how we can be trained, which I believe now more than ever, even with my disabilities, because I'm 65 and 3 years ago I was 62. That's pretty regular math there. And I learned to copy and paste, use an iPhone, about pixels and just all kinds of stuff that I would have never thought I'd been able to do. And granted, I'm not as fast as some of the other ones, and sometimes it takes me longer to use it, learn it, because I have to really just like nosedive and throw the computer around for a while. And I still have a lot of issues with stuff, but really, when I started working at painting with a twist, everything's done on computer. See, I'm just painting everything in. Everything's done on computer. You know, you get your picture for what you're going to paint for the class, little tiny picture, and you're going to make it wicked big. And that computer just defied me. Then when you get done, you have to take that picture and all the pictures you took during class, which is something they taught us, and I had to put them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Oh my God, guys, I was just like, I spent more time doing that, just like crying, right? And I kept at it, and I kept bugging the other girls, and they kept treating me like an idiot because I didn't know how to do this stuff. But by the time I left there, he wanted me to buy it, and he asked me to stay because other people had left or they were going to leave. So, you know, that just goes to show that when you're tenacious and you just want to learn one thing, you just got to keep at it, even when it pees you off. And I knew I wasn't that good at it, and I knew there would be problems, and really at first I wouldn't let them know that it was getting to me, but once I got it down, boy, I had it, and that's how I am. I just got to get it down. I got to figure it out. I think the same thing applies to art. You know, you can, usually artistic people are right-brained, and they can become left-brained, and left-brained can become right-brained. I mean, they're not going to be like everybody else's, and I did some of my stuff kind of in an odd way, the way I post it and stuff, but he loved it, but it was just my way. And then, you know, it's a little hard sometimes to show people stuff like that. So Dave, This is a really pretty color. What do you think? I'm almost thinking that maybe if I do a dark background, it might ruin it. Maybe I should keep the background on a whiter side. What do you guys think? Think I should keep the background white, or should I do something to it? I don't know. I almost feel like I want to do some kind of pattern in the background. Maybe a simple pattern. Maybe I could do that bubble wrap or something. Now, I want to keep this simple. I mean, I could like get into like, you know, ripping up some paper and stuff. Oh, look what I did. But I'm really liking this white background. Oh, I got paint in my white. Ugh, red paint in my white. That's what I'm thinking. So, I'm going to need some leaves on these. I got a vine going right here. So I'm going to take that. I rinsed my brush out. And I'm going to take this lime green. Let me rinse my brush out more. And I'm going to go into this lime green. Just a tad of that darker green. So it's kind of a, and maybe a little bit of that yellow ochre, just to tone that down so it's not quite so bright. That's pretty cool. And I'm going to come in here on a chiseled edge and get my stalk in. I love to do like really long, when I go pumpkin picking, I know it's strange, but I don't think I'm the only one though. I will, no matter, I usually like little ones for like a tablescape. I don't always like the big ones. Everybody wants the big ones. I want small ones. I'll buy a bunch of them, line them up. And I look for really unusual caps and, you know, the stems. The odder, the better. I like them really long and kind of funky, and I get a kick out of them. So I'm going to put some yellow in here. It really is kind of cheaper because they're cheaper, but sometimes I buy so many. One year I grew gourds. I got a mixture pack. I'm putting ochre over top of this on a trellis, not thinking they would grow that. Well, let me tell you something. I had like 70 gourds, all different kinds. I loved them. You can buy the packs like that, but I didn't know they were so easy to grow. All right, so now I'm going to go back with some white. And I'm going to kind of make some little highlights here. Now you could use a little small brush for this too. I'm just going to kind of, I just want some of these to be a little separated. Yeah, that's pretty cool. A little rough, don't make it too perfect. Now I need a small brush. I like it like this one. This is an action old painting with a twist brush. When he closed his place, I had to close my salon. He had to. I worked both places. I had to close that place. It was sad. So I bought. He wanted to know if I wanted anything. So I bought these brushes, easels, and a lot of them were beat up. But you know, it's expensive to buy all that to get started. And I bought a bunch of stuff off them. And this was a whole pack of these. I got a lot of that green, a little bit of the ochre in here. And I'm going to put that green and yellow back together, the ochre color. Let's do some in here too. It's the dark Kelly green and the ochre, these two colors. I'm just hoping this is coming along pretty good. Let's just hope this works out here. I'm getting kind of happy about this. I've been thinking about this cranberry for a while. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I've been doing the blue pumpkins a lot and the white. I mean, I've done the orange ones too, but I was just trying to be different, you know? People like different. So I got all these different colors in here, but that's working out really. Give me like this different look. So I'm just pushing in different colors. It's working out all right here. So now we can go in between. Is that almost dry? We'll let this background dry on this a little bit. I'm feeling like I should leave this white, the background. Let me darken this end up. There you go. And get it to kind of, no, that looks kind of weird. Never mind. That looks kind of weird. You're an artist, you can change your mind anytime you want. All right. Although a couple of big leaves might, I'm creating, folks, I can do this. A couple big leaves might fill this back area in a little bit. Let's just do like, they do have massive leaves. Let's put one there. And maybe we'll just put another one here. Indication of some leaves. So let's use similar colors. I just rolled it right through the yellow here. That sprout color. I'm thinking a little hay too, it might look cool too. So let's do yellow, that sprout, then a little bit of green, and some ochre, more green. So I get this color here. You want green and ochre mostly. I'm just going to do this vein first. Then these kind of zigzag things here. I'll color it, I think, a little bit lighter, so I'll add some white to that color I just made. And fill in the body of it. Just kind of rough sketch it, I don't want it perfect. I like it when it looks a little... Mind you, we're still going to do some palette knifing over this too, so a little bit. A little bit. I tend to like kind of impressionist stuff, so I don't worry about it being real perfect, and I encourage people not to do it real perfect. Now, if you like realism, I do that. I started out doing that. That's fine, but you gotta really love it because it can be very, very stressful. You learn a lot from it. Like I learned a lot from the Helen Van Wyck, what do they call that? You know, pots and bowls. I can't think of a word right now. I can do that too. And you gotta be really perfect with the lights and the shadows and all that. I love it. Still life. Still life painting. But I guess I do a combination of both, kind of. But I like to do, I just find it more freeing to, I mean, I will mess a painting up if I think it's too neat and it's not what I'm looking for. So I love more of I guess I say a painterly look. I love when there's, you can see some of the marks, you can see some of the background. It's just my look. So if you're somebody who's following me and you're looking for something else, well, it's not what I do. So I love that look. This needs to be a little darker here. Let's just kind of, yeah. Everybody's different. But you do it, I tell people to do it the way you think it'll look good for you. You know, I expect my people to be artistic and try it their way. But as long as they've learned what I'm teaching, and they should be at some point, be able to do their own thing. You ain't gonna do it exactly like mine. I don't expect it. I know there's artists that want you to do that, and I that makes me crazy. Cray, makes me cray. A little less. Trying to match up that color from the other side. It's not really necessary, but let's darken this outside a little bit with just straight green. And then the middle. Trying to get similar colors to the top. There we go. Something like that. With some of that green up in here to make it kind of all match too. There we go. Alright, so let me take that palette knife. I got a small one out. What am I gonna do? Go back into the cranberry with just a touch of that yellow ochre. You guys see that? If you can see that or not. I'm gonna do about half of each on my knife, and I'm just gonna kind of drag it out. We're gonna fill in the other part. I'm gonna drag it out, and this, I'm not totally flat, or it'll come out too much coverage. I'm kind of rocking it back and forth on this edge, and you're just getting some of that mustardy ochre look. So I'm going through the yellow and the red, both colors. I'm literally going through them like that. And I'm rocking. Don't be afraid. It's only, if you don't put too much on your thing, you won't get too much color. The more color you put on, the more you'll get. And I got quite a bit in here, but it's okay. I'm gonna rock a little more red on there. This red has mixed in with the yellow, which is cool. And this will kind of antique it up a little bit. This will antique it up. I could have used like some gold. Wouldn't that have been cool? Let me take some of this ochre and kind of start scratching in these little veins right here, green and yellow. And some green. And I'm using it like a pen, holding this like a pen. And I'm just taking the tip, putting a little bit of paint on it, and going through and kind of abstractly, something like that, putting in these colors. That looks pretty cool. So I'm liking these colors, guys. Different, not really perfect. Now I still feel like I need to do something to the outside. I'm not sure. I want to keep it on the white side, so that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to add a little color. I'm going to go through and just kind of scrape in some white and what? What's the opposite of red? Green? Do I want all that green? No. Let's do that sprout color, just a little bit, and a lot of white. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's pretty good. We're just going to randomly scratch in a little color. White. And we're going to use basically the whole bottom, well, most of it, the whole bottom of our little knife. Oh, I get too much yellow. I want the yellow, I want the sprout color, the lemony color there, and I'm just going to kind of add some color to this. Too cool. That's looking cool. I haven't done anything with this white yet. I'm thinking about it. And the yellow. That would look really cool with some, do I have gold paint? Mind, this is kind of not looking like summery. This is a fall look I'm looking for here. So I'm not looking to do any really bright colors. So I'm keeping this pretty light. I'm leaving the background a little bit white, which is okay. You can do that. You can do that. Now I could have started out, I didn't know I was going to do all this. I could have stained the whole background with these colors. Let it dry, and then penciled over it my design, or painted my design. So just to let you know that, you know, if you want to go through and do this painting, you could just scratch hold this whole, like this, with a palette knife, or you could paint it. Or you could put like this, I might do that with the next one, put the sprout on, go over it with the white, and then pencil in your painting. All right, so now I think what I'm gonna do is I'm looking for a fall look, is I've got this gold paint. It's actually a high flow, golden. It's gold. I'm gonna squish it out in the paper here. I'm gonna get my small brush out again, rinse it. I think I'm gonna take that gold and I'm gonna scratch it in some of the white parts. I'm not gonna cover the whole thing though, because I kind of like that white hanging out there. These are like fall colors, so this is perfect. They say she needs to cover it. No, you don't have to. If you want to paint the whole canvas white, that's fine, but you don't have to. I was just reading this in some article somewhere about, and I had told you guys this, that I was doing watercolors at the time, and I went to it was a museum up on Niagara on the Lake, and there was pencil marks showing, and I was flabbergasted because I was taught as an oil artist, every inch had to be covered, and that was in Charleston, South Carolina, a long way from there, or Somerville, and just flabbergasted. Well, it turns out art is art, and if it happens to look good even when there's pencil marks showing, well, guess what? That's okay. So if you got something you want to look a certain way and you need that white background to hang out, you can. Like I said, you could prime this canvas with a different color. You can buy dark canvas. You can buy primed off-color canvas. You can buy canvas that isn't primed, that is its natural state, which is kind of a brown color. So don't be afraid to experiment. You might be onto something. You might be the next best. You might be the next best thing. So kind of like the hula hoop. You know, you'll be just a new thing. So don't be afraid to do different things. And I'm liking that white, so I'm leaving it. You could dab in some gold here and there. Just a little gold here and there. Look good. You can just like do what you want to do. Just a little shinies over in here. I just wanted some little texture in this background. I guess I got it, huh? Little texture in the background. Well, I'm pretty happy with that myself. Pretty happy with that. I don't know about you guys. So that extra shiny is going to make it look like a nice fall look. Alright. I'm waiting there. Got white on the other one by accident, but that's okay. Alright, so let's turn this around. We now have a nice fall. A burgundy color or cranberry colored pumpkin. What you think? Yes, it's ochre. A-C-H-R-E. And I just use it to tone down everything else. I use these colors in a mess right now, but I used, it's called Sprout. It's a lime green from Deco Art. Sprout. It's basically like a green and a yellow, but it's kind of muted, so maybe a little ochre in there if you were doing that color. This one's called Cranberry, and that's yellow ochre. That's actually from another line, but it's Kelly green. It's a bright green and white, and that's all. And then gold. I use a little gold. You could use a gold Posco pen either. You could, but I didn't put it on. Like I just scratched it on. I didn't. It's not like perfect. Yeah, this might be a good fall one. And then I wanted to do like a little hay too. Let me do that. It's just to fill this bottom in. A little trick of mine. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Was I take, you know, your yellows, your golds, your white. Do a little more gold. And I just do like really straight marks. Palette knife marks. And I just go like this and I start making some hay. Golds, yellows, a little green. And you just kind of make some hay marks, some white. Just like you're sitting out in a field. Not that it would have gold all over it, but it's just fun. Gives it kind of a cool look, like it's sitting on the ground. You could add more vines too, like this right here. You could add that up the side. You're working off the side of the palette knife. You're not using the whole bottom, just the edge on this. these colors are really working for me. Yeah. A little more white to kind of bring that gold out a little bit. A little more white, guys. It's starting to dry out on me. That's why I'm having a problem picking it up. That's some white right there. There you go. And some of the ochre. I gotta write these colors down. These are working. That was a good idea, Dave. You like the cranberry. All right. Let me just touch in some more gold here. Why waste the gold, right? Fill this bottom in a little bit there. It works. Put a little gold up in that stem if you want to. All right, I think we're all set for today. Yeah. So I think that kind of fills it in nicely with the hay at the bottom, doesn't it? I do. You could put a few more leaves there too, whatever you want. So that's it for today. So remember, next week we're going to do the next section of Eat, Pray, Love about passion and creativity and curiosity, and then the following week too. And we did those rocks with the Posco pen. They came out quite cute, actually. And, you know, they dried really fast as I put that stuff over the top of it, the sealer, and it didn't spread or anything. With the acrylic paint, you really got to wait. I would say at least a couple hours. I mean, you know, you thought you heard what? Oh, I did both. I did both. I started out, I did a reading, and then I did the rocks, and then I did the pumpkin. I tried to give you guys a whole hour, and I didn't have an hour's worth of rocks sitting in front of me. I only had 2. I mean, I got a mountain over here, but I didn't feel like doing that. My sister, I told her she gave me rocks. I told her I just wanted some rocks. So I got these 2 small ones, so that's what I did. But you'll see in the when you go back later, on my title it says something like reading, rocks, pumpkins. It'll make people so confused. Posco pens. I just wanted to try the Posco pens. Yeah. That's ochre, yes. Anyways, I had fun. Did you have fun? I hope you had fun. So I'll see you guys next week. Hey, chat, I will see you guys. Yes, they're felt tip. I don't know if you know anything about Posca pens. Let me show you a real Posca pen, and I'll show you some interesting things. Number one, if you've ever painted with spray paint, that's what it sounds like. It's a ball. So your paints don't dry out. So as long as you do this, I always do 25 times, and then I hit 10 times. You'll be fine. Another little interesting thing. These things come out, and you got different types of tips. So some just have this where it collects, but most of them have a round tip and a thin tip. And they come in, when you order them, you can order them in thin tip, and you can order different sizes, and some with the bigger tips. It's a type of felt, yes. They last, I mean, just impressed, you know, knock on wood, how long they last. And they come in very bright colors, not cheap, but they're going to last longer than any other pen you've had. So yes, they come in thin and thick. It's some type of felt, yes. But then I went and I told you, this was from Amazon Prime. I got an off-brand. And like the gold pens last a long time too, because usually with gold paint, they really just like gum up everything. And I got this in, it's called Overseas Paint. It's just a knockoff brand, but it's the same thing, but the sizes are different. And they do pull out, but all of them have that collection thing at the end. Whereas my Pasco pens, you have two choices of what tips. So I would flip them around, you know. Of course, you mess up your hands. And another thing with these, they're acrylic based, not water. So they do dry fast. But when you use them on a painting, like an acrylic painting, you have to make sure the acrylic is dry, because if not, I ruined a pen. It'll cover, but it'll just stop working because it dried the tip out. So my trick is to dip it in the water if I think I got too much wet paint on it, but I usually try to make sure it's dry before I use my Pasco pen. And the other trick is, which I've seen somewhere, and I do it with all my pens, is I got rubbing alcohol, which I keep on my station here now, and I will go through and dip all my watercolor, all my alcoholic pens in the alcohol, or any kind of pen, even my watercolors if they're not working, my cheap pens, my Sharpies, I have a lot of them, and about half of them one day started working. So all those pens I threw out, so keep yourself a little alcohol on your station, you might be surprised, chat. Alright, so thank you guys. Have a great afternoon, and I hope inspiration finds you wherever you go. And I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.